Let's see a new topic now. Chapter number 5, Acquisition, Development and Implementation of Information Systems. Now I have divided this chapter into 4 parts. The most difficult part is software development approaches, then software development life cycle, auditor's role in software development, and other basic questions. In this, the most difficult one is software development approaches. That is why I have given it 4 stars. The number of stars shows the difficulty of the topic. Okay, so in your study material, what you have to do is you have to identify the question, categorize it, and give the stars as a remark. Okay, the more stars it has, the more times you have to revise the same. Now let's see what are the issues in system development. See, these are basically issues that the organization faces in system development. First one is user related issues. Now, you have to imagine a user. He has used the system for many years in his past. Now, he knows that what are the changes he needs, but he gets a bit carried away that he will start comparing his company to other companies, and he will make the comparison and tell you that these are the changes I need. Even if there is a budget constraint, still he will propose those changes. So either that or his changes will constantly keep on varying. Okay, his needs will constantly keep on changing. So if he doesn't have the clarity what he wants, if it doesn't give you the information what are the changes that we have to do in the business processes or what kind of system we want to develop, because the user itself doesn't have the clarity, we will not be able to develop a correct system. Okay, so this is the first point, shifting user needs. Then resistance to change. We have already seen this, that if we are replacing Tally with Tally ERP, there is a certain change in the business processes, or if you are installing SAP or COBIT-5, there is going to be some resistance to change. What we have to do is we have to use change management procedures. Then lack of users participation. User has understood the importance and all, but user is not using it again and again, or he is not participating in the implementation. If that is not the case, after some time he will not be able to understand how to implement effectively or use that new system effectively. So lack of users participation in system development might make the implementation ineffective. Then inadequate testing and user training. During testing, if there are 9 components and we have only tested 7 components, these 2 components, they were not tested and they were very crucial. What is going to happen now? The system, whenever there is a lot of load, it is not going to bear that load and the system is going to crash again and again. So because these components were not tested, the system is crashing. That is why we are calling it as the testing was done inadequately. So that is what is inadequate testing. And user training. What is user training? The lower level management, the middle level management, and the upper level management. Whatever users are there, according to their level of management, we will give them training so that we can understand their requirements and we will see whether we are able to meet those requirements or not. Okay, so accordingly, we will give them training also. So these were the user related issues. First, he didn't have the clarity what he wants. Then he is not ready to accept the changes. He is not participating and he is not getting the training. Okay, so these are the 4 user related issues. Okay, now developer related issues. Now, if the developer doesn't have a standard project or a standard system development methodology, that what we are basically saying is the developer doesn't have the expertise or experience to uh, develop a standard project. If that is the case, even if it develops a system, there are going to be some parameters or components that are not correct or are not working efficiently. So here we are talking about the inexperience or expertise of the developer. After that, the next point is overworked or under-trained development staff. Overworked means they are working more than what they are getting paid for or what is expected of them. That is what is overworked. And under-trained is they are given tasks for which they have not received adequate training. So in both the cases, you can understand their human behavior, their morals and all, how they are going to work, what all issues can come up with the cost and all, and efficiency and effectiveness. So the work must not be done overly, and the training must not be done. Under training must not be given. Okay? Adequate training must be given, and adequate work must be allotted. So these are the developer related issues. Okay, here the staff we are talking about is the developer staff. Okay, or the staff in the organization which is helping with the system development. Okay, so user related issues, then developer related issues. Now let's see what are the management related issues. Now lack of senior management support. We have seen this point a lot of times. What can happen if the senior management support is not obtained? The project may be abandoned, the priority of the goals may not be maintained, and adequate changes to the system cannot be made within time if there is no senior management support. And development of strategic systems. Now, who are the people who are giving the strategic direction to the organization? It is the senior management. If the senior management is not supporting how we are going to develop strategic systems, we cannot develop them without the senior management. So if the management is not participating in development, again, the system might be not effective and the implementation may not take place. So management related issues, lack of senior management support, and development of strategic systems. After that, new technologies. Personnel are not familiar with these technologies. Again, there will be a resistance to change. If it is not explained to them, if a manual is not given, and if a reasonable explanation is not given to them about this use of these new technologies, obviously again there is going to be resistance to change. Okay, this is a bit similar to user related issues, but they have given this point separately, so we have taken it separately. New technologies. So there are 4 types of issues: user related issues, developer related issues, management related issues, and new technologies. Okay, now what will happen if these issues are not taken into consideration? Why we are learning these issues is so that whenever you are developing a system, you already know all of this is going to happen. So what you will do is, before this happens, we will already take measures and make sure that this doesn't happen, so that we can develop system quickly and in an efficient manner. Okay. These are the issues why organization cannot achieve system development objectives. So they can twist a question and ask, what are the issues that stop organization from achieving system development objectives? Okay. So this is the system development life cycle. How to do the system development. Now let's see what is primary investigation or preliminary investigation. Now in processing controls, there was a theft problem. Okay. We called the control unit and told them that there was a theft. these items were stolen. Please do the necessary activities. Okay. So we defined the problem and we told them that immediate action was needed to reduce the impact. So what we do when we have a problem, first we define the problem, what exactly is the problem, and then if the problem has a lot of impact, then we give it immediate attention. If the problem doesn't have impact, the problem has vanished, immediate attention is not needed, don't worry about it. Okay, now let's see a story. This is the person with the problem. Okay, now tell me which function is related to in the IT organization. Which function are we talking about? Everyone is there, no?
Can you repeat your question?
Yes, which function is this person related to? In chapter number 1, we saw this person. He was related to one of the functions.
In COVID-5,
System assurance.
yeah.
Okay, she is related to system assurance. Now, what happened is, now the company is a banking company. Now a banking company, they have bank accounts, saving accounts, current accounts, fixed deposits and everything. But now complaints are coming from the customer that we are not satisfied with your service. The customer is not explaining why he is not satisfied, uh, why he is giving a 1 star out of 5 stars, why he is complaining again and again. So because now this person, she made a list of all the complaints and she started worrying about it. Okay, now that the company is now going to shut down because customers are complaining again and again. I'm not able to understand what customers want. Customer is not able to understand what he wants. Now what should I do? Okay, she is constantly worrying and worrying and worrying and worrying. Okay, so now what we will do is we will try to help her. Okay, how we will help her? We will try to do identification of problem. Okay, we will see what are the services accessed by that customer, after which he gave the feedback that he is not satisfied with the service. After we see the services he accessed, we will see the time after which, or the time lag after which he recorded that feedback. So it might be the case that the service he provided, he was not satisfied with that specific service and not by the company as a whole. So that will help us in defining the problem. Okay, and when we try to look into the problem, if we see that this is not the problem that only this customer is facing, this is the problem that all the customers in the country and all over the world are facing, we will try to give it immediate action. Okay, we will give it immediate attention. Why? Because it will impact not just our existing customers but also our new customers, and if we don't give immediate attention, it might be the case the customers might shift from our banking company to another banking company. So if there is an impact, we will give it immediate attention. If there is no impact, we will take measures but not immediately. Okay, we will take some time and then we will take these measures. So the main point here is, if there is an impact, then we will give it immediate attention. Okay, now once again we will see the story. Now we understood that the customer who was lodging the complaints again and again, he went to a bank. He asked them that he wants to withdraw 10 crore rupees. He wanted to withdraw 10 crore rupees. He didn't give intimation earlier that he's going to need that money. He just went there. He said, whatever charges you want to charge them, but I want my 10 crore rupees now. Okay, I want to make an investment. I need that money now. Now the bank was not in a position to deliver that much money because the manager was not there. So now the person, okay, this person, she identified that now she is not able to give a solution for that. Okay, now our objective has been identified. What is our objective now? We have to give a solution where a person, if he comes to the bank, he will be able to get 10 crore rupees on the spot, on demand. Okay, that is our objective. Okay, but she is not able to understand what solution she can give. Okay, she is again worrying and worrying and worrying and worrying. Okay, and that is why now she met this person in the IT organization. Now tell me, which function is he related to?
Planning.
Okay, planning. So now she is worrying, 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 and worrying. And now this person, he is planning, 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 and planning. Now, after thinking a lot, they both sat down together and they started, coming up with solutions that we can communicate to the customers what are the limits for withdrawal. Then we will charge extra for unannounced withdrawals, or how many days before you are supposed to give the intimation that you want to withdraw from the fixed deposits or your bank accounts and all. They started coming up with these solutions. Okay, so they started coming up with proposed solutions. Now they have identified the objective. Okay, the first person has identified the problem. Now the second person is helping them to come up with proposed solutions. First, what we did, we identified the problem. Then we identified the objectives. Now this person is a planning expert. So now he will do all these things on his own. Okay, what are the things he will do? He will understand the project request. That we can either have a ATM process such requests, so that but again now the ATM may not have that much amount, so we will make sure that he can do online transfer to whatever investment company he wants to invest his money in. Okay, so he will understand what is the solution and what is actually the project request. Then he will determine the size of project. Okay, the changes that we need to make in our banking system. He will see how much cost will be needed to make those changes. Okay, and he will compare those changes cost with the transaction charges we are charging him for withdrawal of 10 crore rupees. Uh, if we are being benefited from such a transaction, then we will definitely go for it. So that is what we are determining. We are determining the feasibility. First, we understood the project request, then we determined the project size, then feasibility. Okay. We assessed the costs and benefits of alternatives, and after we did the cost benefit analysis, we reported the findings to the management. Okay, now these 5 things, who did all these 5 things? This planning expert, or you can say analyst, did all these 5 things. Okay, the earlier person will not do these 5 things because she doesn't have this expertise. She is not a planning expert. This person is the planning expert. Let's revise again. First this is an analyst. First we will identify the problem, then we will identify the objectives, then analyst will achieve all these objectives, and then we will try to understand what is the scope. Okay, we will try to understand what is the scope now. Now, we will start asking questions to the customer. And after a customer understands everything, he understands everything, what are the problems of the customer, he will again go to the system assurance personnel and he will ask her some questions that you want to make these changes to the system now. Okay, now I will ask you some questions. You have to give me answers what you want from the system. Now what happened is she started crying now because we still don't have a solution to solve the situation, and in return this person is trying to investigate her. Okay, so it may seem that he is trying to find fault in her behavior or in her activities. So she started crying. So this person said that I am only going to ask you 7 questions. After these 7 questions, I will not ask you anything. Okay, just answer my 7 questions and we will be done with the questions. Okay, so she said, okay, fine, you can ask me the 7 questions one by one. So what was the first question he asked? The first question that he asked was, what are your functionality requirements? Okay, what are your functionality requirements? Okay, the solution, what it should deliver you. In this example, we are either talking about ATM or online banking or pre-authorized withdrawals. Okay, so we are asking her, out of these 3, what are the functionality requirements you want in the solution? So that is his first question. Then, after such a command is placed by the customer or any order is placed by the customer, what is the data to be processed? Now understand, if a person wants to withdraw 10 crore rupees, what are the accounts are involved? Only his bank account is involved and other some banking details are involved. Okay, now this person doesn't have this knowledge. That is why he is asking these questions. Okay, because he is a planning expert. He doesn't have any operational knowledge. He is only expert in planning. That is why he is asking such questions. That what data is to be processed. Okay, what is the data to be processed? His bank details, his bank account number, and the person to whom such he is making the payment. Okay, that is the data to be processed. Then, after that, what controls do you want to make sure that this transaction is executed in a manner you want it to be executed? Okay, so what are the controls you want for this solution? That is what you have to tell in control requirements. Then performance requirements. Okay, how early the online banking or the ATM facility must be available to you, or what is the response time you want when you place an order. Okay, for example, if you go to McDonald's, your response time is 10 minutes to 30 minutes. Okay, after 30, it will never be the case that your order is not delivered within 30 minutes. So that is what he's asking for, performance requirements. Okay, the response time in which you want the product to be delivered or the transaction to be executed. After this, constraints. Okay, what are the constraints? Now, do you want the customer to actually withdraw 10 crore rupees, or do you want him to withdraw 5 crore, or 2 crore 5 times, or 1 crore 10 times? Okay, what will be feasible for you? Is asking that questions to her. So what we are doing is we are again doing cost benefit analysis by looking at the constraints. Okay, what all conditions we can impose to maximize our transaction charges, but it again must be reasonable. Okay, so he will ask what are the constraints. Yes. Then interfaces. What are interfaces? if he wants to make withdraw 10 crore rupees, should he use his mobile, or should he come to the bank, or should he make a phone call, or should he use a laptop or any device? Okay, so we are talking about whether he should use a hardware or a software when he wants to make such a transaction. So that is what is interface. What interface he must use if he wants to initiate and complete a transaction. Then reliability requirements. What are the reliability requirements? Means how strong you need your system to be to make sure that a transaction is not tampered by a hacker, or it is not corrupted because of coding errors or programming errors in the system. Okay, if you pay more, there will be less errors. If you pay less, the errors will be more. So that depends on how reliable you want your systems to be. Okay, so these are the 7 questions he will ask to the lady who is worrying and worrying. Once again, what are the 7 questions? What is the functionality you want? Then data to be processed, controls, performance, constraints, interface, and reliability. Okay. So these are the 7 questions he will ask for. Once again, analyst, yes, what is the first question then? Identification of problem, identification of objectives, then the analyst objectives, then the 7 questions. Now let's see what are the 5 factors we need to keep in mind to decide the scope. Okay, earlier what we were doing, we were understanding the dimensions. Okay, now these are the factors for delineation of. Okay, now here we are basically extracting the information from the users. First, we will elicit from initiator. Who was the first person worrying about this problem? The system assurance person. So what we will do is we will try to extract maximum information from her first. Now what we will do is we will go to all the levels of management and we will elicit information from all of them again, so that we will have a knowledge that what are the problems we are facing because of that bad customer feedback. Then we will quantify the economic benefits, that if we make these changes in the system, we will achieve the revenue or the more transaction charges and all. So we will quantify these economic benefits. Then we will just keep on thinking about the solution again, and we will see whether what all revenue we can earn using that solution. We will see the impact of solution, and we will also imagine what will be the user's view when we implement this solution in the organization. Okay, for factors from users view. Okay, it should not be the case that we are increasing the transaction charges for unauthorized withdrawals. It will make the banking company look bad. So we have to also analyze the factors from users view. So we will do 5 things more for delineation of scope. We will ask 7 questions plus we will do these 5 things. So what are the 5 things? We will extract information from initiator. Then we will talk with users from all the levels of management. Then we will quantify the economic benefits. Then we will understand the impact of solution, and we will analyze all the factors from users' point of view. So these are the additional 5 factors we must keep in mind. Now, how we will do the analysis of scope? What are the methods that we will use for analysis of scope? We will interview them or we will review the internal documents. Okay. In interview, we will try to extract maximum information. We will prepare notes of that list of candidates from all levels of management. And we will also review the internal documents, whether they are giving clarity or not. What is the structure of internal documents, policies, procedures, standards, guidelines? What is the language used in the guidelines and all? He will understand that, so that when he comes up with the system, okay, he will introduce guidelines for use of the system accordingly. That is why we are reviewing the internal documents also, to understand the culture of the organization, and so that when we try to change it, we can use these same internal documents for facilitating that change. So these are the methods we will use for analysis of scope. And once again, now we will do a feasibility study, but we will do a more in-depth feasibility study. Okay, this is something in which he will involve a chartered accountant. Okay, he is you can see the chartered accountant right above him. He will include him in the feasibility study. What are the factors in the feasibility study? First one is technical feasibility. Okay, now the kind of technology for withdrawing 10 crore rupees or on transferring them online, we will see whether there is any technology available in the market. If the technology can protect the transaction, authenticate the transaction, encrypt the transaction, so we will search whether the technology is available in the market or not. So that is what is technical feasibility. If there is not such a technology in the market, we will try to build it on our own. We will try to build it on our own. We will bring all the resources together, or we will make an estimate of resources required. So what we will do is we will see whether it is financially viable. Okay. What does financially viable mean? Are the benefits more than the cost that we are going to incur? Then economic feasibility. What is economic feasibility? We are talking about the return on investment. Now we all know what is cost of capital. Okay, the cost of capital, return on investment from undertaking such a transaction must not be affected. If it is affected, obviously the shareholders are going to ask, why did you undertake such a transaction if it was affecting our return on investment? That is what is economic feasibility. We must maintain that cost of capital and also undertake this transaction to achieve again the maximum return on investment. Then schedule time feasibility. Can we deliver this product or system within a period of 3 months or 1 year? Because after that it will be not required, or it will be already outdated. So if you want to achieve this lacuna in our system, we have to see whether we can deliver it within time. Then resources feasibility, whether the HR resources will cooperate with us, whether there will be resistance to change by the human resources we are trying to implement it. So that is what is resources feasibility. Then operational feasibility. Can this transaction be conducted? Even if all the factors are saying that we can conduct it, can we actually conduct it? Okay, is it operational? It should not be the case that we actually don't have the business process to conduct such a transaction. Okay, that is what is operational feasibility. Okay, we must have a process to conduct such a transaction. After that, behavioral feasibility. Now we are going to implement online banking facilities. We are going to implement ATMs, or we are going to implement new procedures of unauthorized withdrawals, and we are going to also give additional transaction charges for CM. So we will see whether it will affect the work-life balance. If it is going to increase the workload of the people working in the banking company, if it is going to bring down the morale of the people in the banking company, then it will be avoided completely. Okay, it must not affect the work life of the people working in the organization. That is what is behavioral feasibility. Then legal feasibility, whether we are not breaking any laws whether it is valid or not. That is basically what is legal feasibility. Okay. So we will do feasibility study of again the 7 things. So we asked her 7 questions. We did feasibility study of 7 things, and we kept 5 things in mind for delineation of scope. Okay, after doing all this cost benefit analysis, what we will do, we will report everything to the management, finish the case and run away. Okay, because this person is only responsible for preliminary investigation. He is only a planning expert. Okay, he doesn't know how to develop a system. Okay, he only knows how to do preliminary investigation. Okay, so remember these questions in relation to this person as preliminary investigation. Okay, we'll stop here. Any questions you have? Okay, did you understand?
Yes, sir.
I know that I was, taking it very fast, and but I tried to, give it a bit of a natural flavor. So we will continue the remaining part tomorrow. Okay, we'll stop. Chalo, thank you, everyone.